afternoon. Thanks for joining us right here on This Is Now. First at noon, the death toll in the fighting between Israel and Hamas has climbed to at least 1,600, but another day of relentless airstrikes is expected to push that number higher.
14 Americans are among the dead, and today President Biden spoke with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and addressed the crisis publicly from the White House. Natalie Brand is there.
Israel is carrying out punishing airstrikes in Gaza as its Iron Dome intercepts incoming missiles from Hamas. The Israeli military says the air assaults are designed to cause maximum destruction in areas where it says Hamas terrorists congregate. Hundreds of targets were hit in Hamas stronghold Ramal. Even Gaza's main port was struck. Security experts say for Israel, this fight is unlike previous rounds with Hamas.
Israel has to win this one conclusively so that no one else, whether it's Hamas or Hezbollah or Iran, tries to test it in this way in the future.
We stand with Israel.
Speaking at the White House, President Biden reiterated U.S. support for Israel.
We will make sure the Jewish and democratic state of Israel can defend itself today, tomorrow, as we always have.
The U.S. is surging additional military assistance, including ammunition and missile interceptors. It's also sharing intelligence to help with hostage recovery. Americans are among the captives.
Hostages whom Hamas has now threatened to execute.
We are looking for our son. We have to find our son.
Laor Abramov was at the music festival that came under attack. He took refuge in a bomb shelter and is missing.
We spoke with a witness that saw him taken away on a pickup truck.
As rockets light up the night sky, there has also been deadly fire with Hezbollah along Israel's border with Lebanon, fueling concerns about the conflict expanding. Natalie Brand, CBS News, Washington.
Now, earlier today, President Biden addressed the nation in a televised speech over the unrest in the Middle East. Here's more of what he had to say.
This was an act of sheer evil. There's no justification for terrorism. There's no excuse.
We've also learned a short time ago, U.S. Secretary of State Anthony Blinken will travel to Israel amid the growing unrest. President Biden also confirmed 14 Americans were among the dead and others taken hostage. According to the Associated Press, Vice President Kamala Harris also spoke on the phone with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu.
Israel's war with Hamas has the entire nation working toward one common goal, while help is arriving from Israeli Americans who are anxious to join the fight. Haley Ott has more from Tel Aviv.
Israel's civilian population is mobilizing.
Instead of being home and listening to the news and crying, I'm here.
Across the nation, volunteers are gathering supplies for war victims and soldiers as Israel braces for a long fight.
Israel is at war, and the Israeli civilians is not something you want to play with.
And while the supplies are flooding in, so are people with connections to Israel from overseas.
This has been a tough couple of days.
Menachem Perez grew up in Miami and later served as a paratrooper in the Israeli army. After Saturday's terrorist attacks, he knew he had to return immediately.
They've got women, children. Somehow, whatever we need to do to help out.
Perez is working to rejoin the Israeli military and, in the meantime, preparing to help civilians stay safe.
Can you tell me a bit about what's being organized?
It's been a fight of terrorists against innocent civilians, and those civilians are arming themselves now, and we're trying to figure out what we can do.
With friends on the front lines, Perez has put his life back in the U.S. on hold to be here and help his country any way he can. Haley Ott, CBS News, Tel Aviv, Israel.
In news back here on Oahu, charges have been filed against a suspect in a Waianae shooting. 25-year-old Lene Ongara faces multiple attempted murder and gun charges in connection to the incident last Thursday. It happened near MacArthur and Mill Streets. Police say Ongara fired a gun at a 23-year-old woman before hitting her with her car. The victim suffered a serious leg injury. Bail for Ongara has been set at $2 million. And a 16-year-old suspect in a deadly shooting in Maui pleaded not guilty to the crimes. Shaden McEnroe Keoli'i is accused of shooting 4 people at a cockfight in April. One of them, Kathy Rabellisas, was killed. A second suspect in the case, 23-year-old Jacob Borge, is indicted for the murder of Gary Rabellisas, who was also fatally shot. McEnroe Keoli'i is being tried as an adult, and his bail is set at $2 million. The trial is set to begin in December.
More women have come forward accusing Kaneohe pediatrician Dr. Gregory Yim of misconduct. Yim's attorneys appeared before a judge on Monday, along with the attorneys for the 5 women who already filed a lawsuit in August. A trial date of July 2025 was set for that case, but a second lawsuit is possible now that 6 additional women reported misconduct in the last 2 weeks. According to court records, Dr. Yim treated their children, but would then offer to treat the mothers for weight loss, requiring monthly breast exams to get the prescription.
The problem is the way he conducted the examinations are not in line with the standards of care, and the things he did to get them into the office are not in line with what a doctor should do.
In a statement to Hawaii News Now, Yim's attorneys disputed the allegations. No timeline on when a possible second lawsuit could be filed.
We go now to Maui for the latest on the Maui wildfire disaster recovery. There, more disaster areas are open for residents. Residents with vehicle passes in zones 3A, 3B, and 3C will be allowed in today from 7 a.m. to 3 p.m. Those zones cover Wahikuli, Ainakea, and Fleming roads. Tomorrow, access to the area will be open daily from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. for any area resident with a pass. Those can be picked up from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. Monday through Saturdays at the Lahaina Civic Center and Wednesday through Saturday at the County of Maui building in Wailuku. Optional PPE kits will also be available at those sites.
Maui County says 2 more burn zones are now cleared for drinking water. Area 2 covers Kanakea Loop and Kahena Street, and the Upper Kula Area 4 from Kula Manu Circle up to Lower Kimo Drive is clear. Residents should flush their pipes for at least 10 minutes to remove standing water. Many displaced residents are worried about rising rent prices. They're calling on the government to fix what they call a loophole. Chelsea Davis explains.
West Maui residents tell me ever since the fires back in August, rentals have been getting out of hand. And it's no secret, a quick Google search will show you just how expensive it is to rent out of the west side these days. If you search the internet for rentals out in West Maui, you can find a studio on Lower Honopi'ilani Road for up to more than $3,000 a month. A 1-bedroom in Kahana for almost $4,000 a month. Or a 4-bedroom on Kainoe Street for $21,000 a month. Lahaina residents who lost their homes in the August wildfires, who are now looking for places to live, say it may be legal, but it's not right.
Prior to the fire, you could probably find a 2-bedroom in West Maui between anywhere from $2,000 to $2,800, maybe $3,000 a month. Now it's $5,000 to $7,000 a month. So how are we going to do that?
At a Senate briefing in Lahaina last month, state senators and Hawaii Department of Commerce and Consumer Affairs officials said they were unaware that this was happening. But they took down De Los Rios' name and number, and they told him they will be looking into it to see how they can help. And DCC officials tell me they are still currently reviewing this issue. Reporting near Ma'alaya, I'm Chelsea Davis for Hawaii News Now.
The state is investigating attorneys who have been soliciting Maui wildfire survivors without a Hawaii law license, and some are also accused of improper advertising. Our Daryl Huff talked to the state's chief investigator and one of the lawyers in question.
Hawaii's Supreme Court has some of the strictest rules in the country about out-of-state lawyers and advertising, so flyers like this one sent to every address on Maui are under investigation.
I'm just trying to get people's attention so they know they have rights. You can demonize me as much as you want. It doesn't bother me.
Houston attorney Eric Dick sent the flyer, which says you may be entitled to money, and we are helping your friends and neighbors protect their legal rights and want to help you, although he has no Hawaii clients. It just seems so blatant and so in your face. Why use that kind of a tactic, especially for people who have been traumatized?
Regardless of whether they like my marketing or not, it's so important that they know they have rights.
Dick said the Texas Bar Association okayed the flyer, but apparently didn't realize without a Hawaii license, it was illegal for him to solicit clients here.
We've looked at the laws. We were honest about being an out-of-state lawyer. I wasn't trying to hide anything.
I received 10, 12, 15 of these things from different sources sending me, see what I got in the mail.
Supreme Court Chief Disciplinary Counsel Bradley Tam said he's received complaints about 42 lawyers or law firms and is actively investigating 22 attorneys who could face license suspensions or criminal penalties. In the wake of the disaster, his office is overwhelmed.
I'll be candid with you. I didn't have an emergency action plan for this. So we're kind of making this stuff up as we go along.
Many mainland attorneys are properly advertising after teaming up with licensed local firms, but Tam said the Hawaii licensed lawyer should be taking the lead with local clients.
Once you've retained that Hawaii attorney, may bring in a mainland counsel to work and talk to you. That might be permitted. Jury's still out on that. I'm not exactly comfortable with it.
Like with so many institutions, the Maui fires are testing the Supreme Court's rules on disciplining lawyers, and that's a process that could take years to play out. Reporting from the Supreme Court, Daryl Huff, Hawaii News Now.
The People's Fund of Maui is now paying about 5,500 fire survivors. They're getting $1,200 a month for 6 months. Oprah Winfrey and Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson started the fund with $10 million of their own money. The payments that have been approved so far total about $4 million. We're told several thousand more applications have either been denied or are pending, and organizers are asking for patience.
Just know that every application and every email that is sent to the People's Fund is reviewed by a person, and they're working hard to try to review those. So I know it's not the answer that everyone wants, but it is patience.
There was some backlash that came with launching the fund.
Dwayne Johnson apologized on Instagram after being criticized for asking for donations when he and Oprah together are worth more than $3 billion. Johnson said this is his first fund, and the next time he'll be better.
Young people are stepping up across the state to be the leaders Hawaii needs during a disaster like the wildfires on Maui. Our Casey Lund is in Wailuku and has more.
Just a couple months after all the horror that unfolded in West Maui and upcountry, there is always some light and some silver linings that we find, and this story is one of those. More than 100 students from across the state, as you mentioned, even Lanai Molokai, are here at Baldwin High School on Maui. They're learning amazing skills and pretty intensive 3-day course here put on by some really special people. Of course, a lot of those folks are here on Maui helping out. They're getting training from a FEMA-recognized program that certifies adults in disaster preparedness and emergency response. It's called CERT, as I told you earlier, Community Emergency Response Training. It includes CPR, first aid, even fire suppression. It's giving these young adults the skills they need to serve their community during the darkest times. I actually spoke to 4 students from Lahainaluna High. Some of them lost their homes in August. They said being here was important to them, and they felt the love from their fellow Hawaii high school students.
CPR and first aid. We have a strong foundation from our program in Lahainaluna. I'm excited about everything, but the valuable thing that I'm gonna use is the fire, because I work in the shop, so I do robotics. I think it's going to be helpful if I understand how the fires start and how to respond to it.
It's so cool to see how much people want to be prepared and want to take part in this. So it's just really special to see all these other schools. I wasn't expecting to see other schools from other islands, so that's really cool to see.
I'm just excited to be here, excited to be around people and have this much support, and being able to experience this program, this community.
Another cool part about this is how quickly it all came together. Climb High, their nonprofit that helps students find success after high school, is partnering with the Red Cross, the Maui Strong Fund from the Hawaii Community Foundation, the Army, Kamehameha Schools, even Alaska Airlines to make sure that those kids and their families didn't have to pay anything for this. They're utilizing even some of the resources that are on island and the people, the emergency responders that are here to educate these kids.
We put together this concept for a community emergency response training, balanced with the concepts of uhane, kanaka, aina, and kai, to make it a truly Hawaii pono concept.
It is a training, and again, it's part of kids being, it's bigger. It's a bigger level where they're healing together, learning together, build confidence.
This is so exciting. You know, we always say the future really is in the hands of the kids, the high school students, and the fact that we have high school represented from throughout the island. This really shows that they care.
Of course, Lieutenant Governor there paid a visit to those students to encourage them and thank them for what they're doing and thank all the people that are here doing this for those students. Again, the idea is that they take that back to their family. If we could come back out here live to Baldwin High School, they're going to be starting day 2 just a little bit later this morning. But one thing I wanted to show you how cool this is, all those students that are participating get one of these first responder hats. It has a sticker from each of the high schools participating, a little memento and a little thank you for all the hard work that they're doing. Again, Grace, on fall break of all time. So a really cool story. Grateful to share that with folks this morning.
Back here on Oahu, a state senator believes he found the solution to a decades-long problem at a Pearl City cemetery. The 5-acre Sunset Memorial Park has been making headlines due to years of neglect, including crypts being vandalized. State Senator Glenn Wakai says the state put the land in a trust after the cemetery's owner died a few years ago. Now, no one wants to take it over because it doesn't generate revenue and repairs would be expensive. To help entice a new owner, Wakai wants to put solar panels over the graveyard and connect them to a nearby substation.
Keep in mind that these solar panels are probably going to be about 10 feet off the ground. So what you would see in some parking lots where you have the PV above the cars. We're going from a money pit to a money maker. In 20 years, this cemetery will be $7 million cash positive.
That money could fund maintenance, new fences, and security. Some people with family members buried at the park say they're open to the idea, but wants a consensus among others who visit the park.
Let's go ahead and send you outside now for a live look at our nation's capital. This is Washington, D.C. The sun has just set there. It's about 6:18. Temperature in the high 60s there. But what's our local forecast looking like? Our Guy Hoggy will have more after this short break.
relatively dry conditions will persist into next week. Not that it's going to be totally dry. As you can see with the futurecast, there will be the occasional splash coming through, mainly hitting those windward areas when those trade winds are coming in. But don't forget, over the weekend, Saturday and Sunday, the winds lighten up, even into Monday. And with those variable winds, instead of windward and Mauka showers, we'll see some pop-up showers in those interior and leeward sides. But you can see lots of sunshine, no significant rainfall expected anytime soon. Now, the weather's going to change in that we've got breezy trade winds today, slower winds tomorrow, even slower winds over the weekend, and that's when humidity levels will start to rise, and we'll likely see those pop-up showers.
Now to check out some news from the feeds. The U.S. House is still without a speaker, and until one is selected, the governing body is paralyzed. Some had hoped for a vote as early as today. Laura Aguirre has the latest on the situation in our nation's capital.
In a House divided without a speaker, there is bipartisan agreement on one point.
The world is watching. They're seeing a dysfunctional democracy.
We're demonstrating to the world that democracy is dysfunctional.
The stakes of that dysfunction now even higher amid an escalating war in Israel.
We need to be acting right now on Israel. Instead, we're trying to figure out a new speaker, or maybe perhaps still discuss, Speaker McCarthy.
We stand strongly with Israel. The House needs to get back to work. Yes.
House Majority Leader Steve Scalise is one of two top contenders for the speaker slot, along with House Judiciary Chair Jim Jordan, recently endorsed by former President Donald Trump, but not as confident yet that he has the votes to secure the gavel.
I've said all along we need 217, 218, whatever that number is, but we need to sell that in the conference before we go to the floor.
Whoever the conference picks, I'm going to support.
Ousted Speaker Kevin McCarthy showing support for his party's next move, while not shrugging off the option it could be him again.
I'll allow the conference to make whatever decision. Whether I'm speaker or not, I'm a member of this body. I can lead in any position it is.
Without a speaker, most agree the House is legislatively paralyzed, but confidence is high among some that could change soon.
I totally expect us to have a speaker by Wednesday. We will come out of conference united in that.
I'm Laura Aguirre reporting.
The U.S. Postal Service wants to raise prices once again. The proposed new rates include a 2-cent increase in the price of a first-class mail forever stamp from 66 cents to 68 cents. There will be no change to the additional ounce price of 24 cents. Prices for special service products would also go up. Those include certified mail, post office box rental fees, money order fees, and the cost to purchase insurance when mailing an item. The USPS says their prices are among the most affordable in the world. The Post Regulatory Commission still has to review the price changes first, and if approved, the new prices would take effect January 21st.
And trick-or-treaters may experience an extra scare this Halloween. A new survey is suggesting that they may get less candy. Of course, it's due to inflation. Researchers at the sales and marketing group Advantage Solutions surveyed over 1,000 adults. 40% said that inflation will impact their plans to buy candy, and among that group, half said they plan on spending the same amount as last year, but will be buying less of the sweet treats. Roughly 30% said they will be spending less and buying less. And it isn't just inflation that's driving up prices for consumers. Producers say a tight sugar supply will also be driving up the cost of candy, as well as cutting into the production of the goods.
I love Halloween candy, Dylan.
Of course.
Yes.
Who doesn't?
And speaking of Halloween, here's some good news now. A Missouri man looking to squash a world record. So Steve Cunney paddled in a giant homegrown pumpkin about 38.5 miles down the Missouri River on Monday. Now, it weighed nearly 1,300 pounds, and he's part of a group called Paddle KC. They say it set the new Guinness World Record for longest ride by a pumpkin boat. There's a world record for everything.
Really? There it is.
They're just waiting for the paperwork to make it official. Apparently, the previous world record was held by a Nebraska man who last year, really recent, paddled down the Missouri River 37.5 miles in a 846 pound pumpkin.
You know, it's bizarre to think there is a world record for that, and it's also bizarre to think someone has done it before.
Yep, it's a thing.
Oh, that's one way to get into the record books, I guess. We also want to send some love to our friends in Sin City because Zippy's has finally opened there. Yes, next time you're in Las Vegas and craving a loco moco or maybe some fried chicken and chili, look no further. Zippy celebrated their grand opening this morning of their new Las Vegas restaurant. Of course, this is the first location outside of Hawaii. Zippy's CEO Jason Higa says they hired more than 200 team members and managers were trained in Hawaii for nearly a year. Now, the restaurant is located on Badura Avenue. There we go. Sorry, they had some interviews there. There we go. On Badura Avenue in the southwest area of the city, and also has a takeout counter as well. Oh boy. Ashley, what's your go-to Zippy's order?
Chili, fried chicken, Korean chicken's great too. It depends. The Simon, I don't know. Depends what
For me, Korean chicken, white rice, mac salad, cannot go wrong. Thank you all so much for watching. Have a great rest of your afternoon.
Aloha.